Hi, I'm Talicza.
And I'm Rachael, and this is Transatlantic Crime, a true crime podcast that covers stories from each side of the pond. Every week, we will both cover a separate story with a running theme.
Disclaimer, this podcast will contain swearing and details that some people may find offensive. If you are of a sensitive disposition, listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Transatlantic Crime.
So close.
Hi.
Hello, mate. I've got like a fucking lavender candle burning. I've got lavender puffing out of a thing. Just feeling the COVID stress today. Needed a Valium and a lavender and one can of Strongbow that I had in the house.
Hopefully, a chat about murder will help bring things down.
It kind of always does. It just makes you see how your life could be worse and like how you could be dead. Yeah. So have you got any like murder news?
I just started working out with a personal trainer.
Yes, yeah.
I just had a session with her this morning, and she loves talking about true crime.
What's her name?
Her name is Jennifer. And
Yes, Jennifer.
Today we were talking about the Golden State Killer.
Jen, I'm going to stop you there. I'm balls deep in this thing.
Yeah. I'm living it.
I fucking go to sleep and dream about the Golden State Killer. I just love it. I love it. I just love when you find a murderino. Like,
it's great.
It is the best. Because, the thrill of knowing that you can talk to them and they won't just look at you like you are a murderer.
Right. Although, sometimes, because I have a gym in my apartment and other people will be working out in there.
Yeah.
And so we'll be excitedly talking about murder, and then I'll just look around me at the silence in the gym with the rest of the people. But
no, you want to I'm going to mention The Sopranos again. You want to do like The Sopranos where Rose in a restaurant and she's like, mind your fucking business.
To my next door neighbors.
Yeah. Mind your fucking business.
Yeah.
I love it. Also, I've got some Golden State Killer news that I don't know if you saw, but so I don't know if he's been sentenced yet, but you know
he has.
He has. What did he get?
A bunch of years in prison, I believe.
Well, I know he's like 100 anyway, so
yeah,
he could get 10 years and
he'll die in prison.
Well, will he though, or will they do that fucking annoying thing where they're like, you're really old, you can come out?
I don't think for this guy.
No, I hope not. But basically his daughter wrote a letter to the court, which I'll send you a link and I'll put a link up. I think I already put a link up on the Facebook and the Twitter. You can read the letter in full and it's about 4 or 5 pages long and it's her going, he is such a great guy. He is the best guy. He does nice stuff for people without even asking. I don't know where I'd be without him. I can't believe he's not in my life anymore. Like, she does not say one bad word about him in this letter. She doesn't acknowledge the victims at all. It goes on for 6 pages and it's like she's writing about Santa Claus. She could not make him. I was like, he murdered 13 people. He raped. He bludgeoned people to death with a log. The cheek of you.
Yeah.
To have the fucking brass balls.
Listen, I don't care if you are the closest person to me. If you do something horrible as this, I am not going to defend you. I'm not going to...
No!
I'm going to be like, this is the time for the victims. This is their space and time, their justice, the end. Maybe I'll speak to you, but I'm not going to talk to you about how you're Santa Claus.
My letter would read this. He was nice to me. Yours sincerely, his daughter.
Yeah.
But obviously he's not a nice person. He's a cunt.
Right. P.S.
P.S. He's a monster. But he fucking mowed my lawn and paid my college tuition and obviously, why wouldn't he? You hide in plain sight.
Yeah.
But Yeah, it really angered me and it was really disrespectful.
That's nuts. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's worth a read. It's just crazy, like how delusional like they are.
I really should get on Twitter more, I guess.
I've been neglecting our Twitter in terms of interaction. Like, I need to get on there and chat with people more, but I do post on there. Once the Golden State Killer news at the moment must be going off on Twitter because so much is happening with him at the moment. Basically, he pled guilty, so he didn't get the death penalty. I mean, it's kind of pointless executing like a 78-year-old man, but still, a cold winter could take him out.
I mean, what are you holding on to, dude? That's my question.
Yeah, the letter is crazy, though. Definitely read it. I need to get my nose back into that news, actually. I've kind of forgot about it for a second.
If you listen to the Murder Squad, you get little tidbits from Paul Holes.
Hot for Holes.
He keeps saying he'll bring it up in other episodes, in later
episodes. He'll do a proper one.
Yeah, he can't really talk about it too much right now, but there's little tidbits that you get. And then...
Did you get any?
Yeah, Billy Jensen will kind of lead a question and be like, so how did you feel when this happened? And then Paul will kind of give like a
professional shot.
Yeah.
So professional.
I know, but still it's like, it's so interesting to have his point of view about it.
Oh man, you know when you have like who could you invite to dinner, like alive or dead? He's definitely one of mine.
Yes.
Yeah, he's on the list. 100%.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I've just thought of that now. Okay, should we crack on this week?
Yeah, I think you're first, right?
I am first. Okay, so I'm going to tell you this story because the theme this week is strange instruments of murder, isn't it?
Yes.
So I am fucking pumped to hear what you've come up with. And Carly like has this thing of like the perfect instrument for murder would be an ice arrow because you could like fire it into someone's heart and then it would melt. Like, how many times have you heard that?
So many times.
I know. But that's not true because everybody knows that some sort of poison would be the best because it would like a poison that would come out of your body or is hard to detect in a post-mortem.
That's a woman's response.
Well, yeah, that is a woman. Yeah.
The man's response for a perfect murder weapon is an sharp piece of
they
ice.
crafted.
And then a woman's response is poison.
Yeah, definitely. So... yeah, this story does not involve an ice arrow, nor does it involve poison. So this happened really close to where I live. My hometown, Andover.
Okay.
So it happens in Salisbury, and it's the parachute murderer.
Ooh.
Which kind of gives it away. Okay, so I'll just crack on. So on the Easter weekend of April 2015, Victoria Cilliers, who was a 38-year-old mother of two, wanted to go for a skydive. She was an ex-army captain and she was a really experienced parachuter. She'd done it tons of times. And she also shared this passion with her husband, Emil. On Easter Sunday, she went on a planned skydive with about 10 other people. And as she was the most experienced, she jumped out of the plane last.
Would you do that? Would you ever jump out of a plane?
I don't like roller coasters. I'm not jumping out of a plane. I'm not diving. You know those people that do like cave diving?
Yeah.
Have you got some sort of fucking death wish?
Yeah.
So many people die doing that, and rightly so, because I just do not understand. And people who climb up Everest. Like
I think my brother wants to do that.
Well, let me know his number, Rachel, because I'm going to give him a call and give him a good fucking talking to and tell him why that's a stupid idea. I think it's because I'm such an anxious person that I don't get a thrill, as we've discussed before, I don't get a thrill off adrenaline. I've got too much of it coursing around my veins anyway.
Yeah, I have enough adrenaline every single day that makes me feel like I'm jumping off a cliff.
It makes me feel like I'm going to die.
Yeah.
I really don't need that. Like, I really don't need to like ramp that up.
I have enough fear of everyday life things that something's going to go wrong.
Yeah, I need that turned down on every dial, basically. Okay, so she's falling and her parachute won't open. But in this circumstance, you rely on your second emergency parachute, and that's why it's there. But that wouldn't open either. So she's hurtling towards the ground, and she's starting to spin off course because they are meant to land on Salisbury Plains, which is just like really flat, just loads of really flat fields that they do this kind of thing on.
Yeah.
She flies off there, like in the wrong direction, and she hits the ground at 102 miles an hour in a nearby field that had been freshly ploughed. She slammed into the ground, and her friends ran over to her, horrified, expecting to find her dead. But miraculously, she wasn't. She was just really badly injured.
Oh, man. Was she conscious?
I'm not sure. So she suffered a broken spine, a smashed pelvis, fractured ribs, and internal injuries.
Wow.
An ambulance was called, and Victoria was airlifted to Southampton Hospital for emergency surgery. I've been there for 2 surgeries.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, I had my tonsils out, and I had jaw surgery. I had my jaw broken and moved because I had like a cosmetic dental. It wasn't cosmetic. It was like, well, I wouldn't like die without it, but moved my jaw so my bite was aligned properly.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a little secret for you.
It's funny because my sister-in-law is about to have that surgery.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh
in
God.
a couple of days. She's scared.
She fucking don't show her this. But she should be, because it's agony. Your face looks like a foot for like 2 months. Do you know what though? After the pain is over and it's healed, it's incredibly worth it.
Yeah, I know. That's why she's
It changed my life. It made me so much more confident and happy with myself in this damn vain world. So she's been taken to hospital, and her husband Emil and her 2 young children rushed to her bedside, as this was very unusual for a parachute and its backup to fail. The police were called to investigate what went wrong and if anyone was at fault. So the police found out it was Victoria's first skydive after giving birth to her second child only 6 weeks earlier.
Wow. She must have been itching to get out.
Yeah. Like, if I had a child 6 weeks ago, I would be diving into the fridge and the sofa and nowhere else.
The bed.
And the bath.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show women are very resilient after childbirth.
Yeah.
Well done. So she fell 4,000 feet, and the only reason that she survived, they speculated, was because of her slight 7-stone frame and the fact that she fell into the freshly ploughed field and not the hard grass.
Okay.
The chief instructor at the airfield examined the parachute Victoria used and had serious concerns about why it had failed. At this point, it wasn't a criminal investigation, but it was very important for the parachute school to work out what went wrong so it couldn't happen to anybody else. So Matt Wilder is the chief instructor, and he said that the parachute wires were so much more tangled than they should have been. And he said he'd seen plenty of malfunctions, but none like this. Victoria's parachute had missing slinks, which are basically what attach the strings to the main chute. So 2 of the 4 of these were missing on both the main and the reserve parachute.
That's sketchy.
So, yeah. So usually if just one of these is damaged or missing, a parachute is absolutely useless.
Wow.
These are the strongest parts of the parachute too. So for them to snap or break if none of the rest of the parachute is broken is highly unlikely. So this becomes the main focus of the investigation. Yeah, I mean, I'd want someone checking that parachute out the wazoo, in the words of fucking Nancy Grace.
Yeah. Up the yin yang.
Out the yin yang, that was it, sorry. God, she's mental. So there was a press appeal made for any witnesses who may have seen something suspect at the airfield or any of the slinks on the floor or anything, but nobody had. So they sent the parachute, and get this, to the British Parachute Association.
Oh.
They exist.
Wow.
Yeah, good for them. Who started their own investigation. I mean, to be honest, they have to be safe, so I get it. They say they can't see a mechanical fault, and they can't rule out the fact that someone had tampered with the parachute. And this meant that the police had to open an attempted murder investigation. They tried to discern if anyone would want Victoria dead. 5 days on from the attempted murder, Paul Franklin, who is the lead detective, and his team got a tip out of the blue from one of Victoria's friends that her marriage to Emil was seriously in trouble, and there was lots of arguing going on prior to the incident. So this made Emil a suspect. And the police then discovered that it was him who had signed out the parachute at the club, and he had expert knowledge of how to pack a parachute because he was a British Army sergeant.
Wow, the husband did it.
Well, I mean, murder bingo, husband did it, but...
Yeah.
So at this point, they didn't know how much evidence they really had, but...
Did he go on the jump as well?
Oh, no, he didn't do the jump, but he went with her and, like, watched her.
That's even worse.
I know. So they go to Emil's offices and they arrest him for the attempted murder of his wife. His reaction barely registers. He just comes along quietly and gets handcuffed.
That is definitely a guilty look.
You would be like, you wouldn't go, fair enough.
Yeah.
Where's the car?
Right.
Yeah.
Cuff me.
So you got me. Yeah. They drive him to the police station and he doesn't deny it at any point. The police decide to just present Emil with a series of open questions based around how parachutes and skydiving works. So they don't seem too combative? I don't know. It's not read underlined, so it must be a word. Don't blame me. Blame Google. They interview him for 6 hours and they ask him multiple times, does he want a lawyer? And the answer's always no. So he's really happy to talk to them. Despite his wife being hospitalised, he starts out by telling the police how little he cares about her and says he doesn't want to be with her, he has a girlfriend, and he wants to leave Vicky, but then this happened.
Man, fuck this guy. Your wife just had a baby.
She's in a full body cut. She's in like a body brace. Like 6-week baby at home and a toddler. He just doesn't give a fucking solitary shit. So he told the police with barely any encouragement that his girlfriend was from Austria and he'd met her on a skiing holiday. He also gave over his mobile phone voluntarily, which showed that he had been in contact with his Austrian girlfriend constantly for the 4 months since he met her. He was very open when discussing his sexual conquest and his new girlfriend, but when it came to talking about the day of the parachute jump, he'd be really shaky on the details. He was asked if he held the parachute at any time, and he confessed that he had been holding it, and then his young daughter needed to go to the toilet, so he took it with him when he accompanied her, leaving him alone with it for some time. When the police pressed him for details about this, though, he would go off on tangents and generally try to deflect the conversation. So this guy is just like a straight-up narcissist that doesn't realise how he's coming across. Again,
those are exactly the words I was thinking.
Yeah. He's like this. I shag loads of people. Like the police are like, do you think I'm impressed by that?
Yeah.
Like, he's always like, do you think you're James Bond?
Right.
Because you're not.
No one is.
No one is James Bond, no. The police then decided to interview Victoria, but she was in a body brace and in a lot of pain because she's broken her fucking pelvis and her spine.
She just fell out of a plane.
I don't know who hits the floor from 4,000 feet.
Also, what is your mental state?
She must be off her bonce on drugs right now, because...
Yeah, but...
I would be.
In fogs of reality, I would be freaking out. I would just be reliving that moment over and over and over.
So, like, for me, the idea of a skydive is horrifying.
Yeah.
From start to finish. But for her, I guess, like, it's quite nice until she hits the floor. Like...
Or... until you realize your parachute is not working. That would be the moment.
Yeah, that's when you shit yourself, yeah.
Yeah.
During her interview, she didn't really have much to say about the event other than the parachute didn't open and she wasn't sure why. I mean, fair enough.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
Yeah, there's a lot to consider when that's happening, so...
Yeah. She didn't mention any marriage problems between her and Emil, so the police now had to make a decision. Are they going to let this man go home to his wife and 2 young children, including a 6-week-old baby, when they seriously suspect him of attempting to murder her? They decide to release Emil on bail and say he isn't allowed contact with his wife and children and he isn't allowed to stay at the address.
Good.
Yeah, I think that's a really good course of action, and I think other police investigations have like dropped the ball when it comes to stuff like that.
Right.
And just been like, had to let him go, and then if they go and kill someone.
Yeah.
So I think it's very sensible to say, you can go, but don't see your wife, because you obviously have a hard-on for killing her. This was about 11 o'clock at night when they released him after questioning, and the police were forced to tell Victoria that Emil was a suspect, because obviously when he's in the interview room, he's not talking to her, he's not calling her or anything, and they were forced to tell her that she couldn't have any contact with him. And her response was, that's ridiculous. He's my husband and I need him here. I can't even pick up my baby.
Oh.
Call your mum.
She doesn't even realize, though, that it's her husband who did this.
Well, you just wait. Because, I mean, severe pain medicine or not, this is crackers. This just showed the police how in denial Victoria was about serious possibility Emil could have done this, and realised that she had zero idea about his affairs. So the police basically, to calm her down, said, well, look, we're going to come and see you tomorrow, and we're going to explain in more detail why these bail conditions have been made, and it's important that they have been made. So she's like, fine. So they have his phone. So they start looking through that, which again, part of me, I want to look through people's phones, and part of me just thinks, nope, I don't want to see anything.
Do you think it's like the rookie who usually has to do it at the police station?
I think they have a like IT department kind of thing that where they drop off like the criminals' laptops and phones and go, yeah, just take shit out of here, and anything you find of interest, then let us know. And then I think they go through that stuff.
Yeah.
Because I have watched programs before where they say like, we took the phone to a forensic specialist, blah blah blah. So I think it's someone's job to like plug it in and do all the hacker shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the examination of his phone was underway, and it revealed some chilling messages. So there was a text to his girlfriend saying that he was not the father of the baby, and he was going to get a DNA test done to prove it. That's not true. He is the father of the baby.
Yeah.
So Victoria had psychological scars from the infidelity of her first husband, and yeah, so basically that was a vulnerability that Emil was quick to exploit, and he blamed her suspicions about his behaviour on her previous experience, describing her as emotional.
This guy sucks.
Oh my God, he's the worst, and it just gets worse and worse. So just to warn you. At the time, he told her he needed time to think. I need to decide whether I want to be in this marriage. And that's what he said to her while he was in Austria skiing with his Austrian girlfriend. He also said to her over text, I think we may have got married too soon. And Victoria said that when she received that text, she thought she was so upset, and she cried so hard she thought she was going to lose the baby.
Oh.
She just gets shafted in this, man. It's horrible.
Yeah.
At home, Victoria was dealing with the ramifications of his rampant spending and borrowing as well. He had loads of money problems. A bailiff from a payday loan company had been to their home. So she was alone, pregnant, and looking after a toddler, and she felt really intimidated and afraid. So she sent Emil a text about it, and he replied, why are you worried? They can't do anything. He had taken out several high-interest loans with payday loan companies. He also asked his friends for money, promising to pay it back. And he transferred 3 lots of $2,000 from Victoria's savings account to his own account without her knowledge.
Of course he did.
Obviously. And when she noticed the transactions, Emil told her that her account had been hacked. When the bank investigated this apparent fraud, it found the IP address was the home family's computer. And she knows this. This has gone on way previous to the parachute shit.
She's just in complete denial.
Yeah, 100%.
But then also she has a young child, and then probably around this time she has a baby on the way.
Yeah.
I'm sure she's trying to hold on to any thread of stability that she can.
Also, I don't know how old she is. I think she's like 38 or something. Yeah, she's 38, and she's just had a second baby. I mean, when you're a woman, when you're about, I don't know, when you get into your late 30s, like you want to have babies.
Yeah.
Usually, because obviously there's a time limit hanging over you, which is shit. But that kind of makes me think maybe she thought, shit, this is like my last chance to have like a proper family that I, with a dad and the 2 kids, and we're going to be a lovely family. And some people really care about outside perception,
Yeah.
how people see you. So, yeah, she's just ignoring all of these red flags. And they also found out that he used sex workers, he had casual flings, and he was having an affair with his ex-wife, who he had 4 other children with. And he had a girlfriend who lived abroad.
How does he have time for all this?
I do not know. Well, he's obviously hasn't got the money for it because he keeps like borrowing shitloads of cash.
Wow.
And when he wanted to go on holiday with that girlfriend, he told his wife it was a work trip. This has all gone on. So the main investigator, Paul, knew that he had to tell Victoria how serious the threat was to her and her children, and that meant that he had to tell her about the affair. So this is what he chose to tell her, basically, because it's so much information that he wanted to pick things that were kind of end-of-the-line news. Like, if you find out about this stuff, surely you're going to know he is a piece of shit. So he decided to tell her about the affair. He decided to tell her about the text denying that he was the father of the baby. And he decided to tell her about the fact that the first thing he said in the interview was that he wanted to leave her. So apparently Victoria was devastated, screaming and crying. And he said 5 to 10 minutes into this conversation, you could see that the information was really starting to sink in. And that's when Victoria said, you know what? I think I need to tell you about something. So Emil was a sergeant in the Royal Army Physical Training Corps, and he frequently volunteered for red camps abroad, even when Victoria was heavily pregnant. So he said that he was sick of his 45-minute commute and he wanted to rent a room nearer the office in the week and come back at the weekends. So on this particular Sunday, he put the kids to bed and then he went to his accommodation ready for work for Monday the next day. Except he didn't actually do that. He went to his ex-wife's house to sleep with her, and then when that was over, he sent sexual texts to his girlfriend Stephanie, and then he checked an adult website for thrills. Then he drove 45 minutes to his barracks in Aldershot, which again is in Hampshire. It's really near where Andover is. Every morning, Victoria woke up and she went to the kitchen to get some milk for one of her children, and she smelled gas. So she texted her husband and told him about the leak, and she joked, "Are you trying to bump me off?" So is this almost like, and that's almost like there's always truth in jest.
Yeah.
It's like part of you does think that, or you wouldn't say it. She opened all the windows and then she asked Emil to come home and he said he couldn't. She called and then the pipe had been tampered with and turned 1/4 of an inch loose, so gas was leaking out, which obviously should not be happening. So after they found out this news, the police decided to do a full video interview with Emil, because at this point it seems he had attempted to murder his wife twice, once with his 2 very young children in the house. So they got to work forensically analysing each incident and started with the gas pipe. This wasn't really enough to prove that anyone had purposely tampered with it. So they looked around the house and found a pair of pliers with a pattern on that exactly matched the pattern on the nut and bolt on the gas pipe.
He doesn't sound like, he sounds like he's conniving, but he doesn't sound very smart.
This is the same as the guy who killed the lovely author lady and her cute fucking dog. He's just like doing exactly what he wants in like a steamroller style.
Like he's entitled to it.
Yeah, it's just like, fuck it. I just feel like, yeah, fuck it. This is what I'm going to do today. No one will find out.
I have 2 children, 3 girlfriends. I don't have time for all these, so I'm going to get rid of some of them.
God, I have got to get rid of this wife. I am swamped. And then, like, he would have killed his children as well.
Yeah.
He would have killed 2 of his children because they were defo in the house. They next needed to prove that he'd tampered with the parachute, and the police discovered that 6 hours after the gas leak had been fixed, Emil suggested the next weekend they should go skydiving. So it was like his idea.
If you're like a loving husband and your wife has just had a baby 6 weeks ago, your first thought is not, hey, you want to get out of the house and go skydiving?
My first thought would be, hey, I don't want to prolapse on the way down, so I'm probably still wearing like breast maternity pads.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything.
If you are like being like a proper loving husband to your wife who just bore your baby.
Bore your child. Who just birthed your offspring.
Yeah. Carried it for 9 months. You want to be like, hey, I made a bath for you.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go for a nice meal.
Give it a month before you jump out of a plane.
Right.
Like, I don't know. Something's going to snap. It's just... just wait. Yeah. So that weekend, the weather was bad, and it was decided that there would be no jump. After this news, Emil insisted that they just put Victoria's parachute back into their shared locker, because they used to go skydiving all the time. They had a locker there, because if there was a big queue next time for the parachutes, they would just save time by just going to the locker. And Victoria said she really wasn't comfortable with that, because you're always supposed to hand it back in, but she didn't want to make a fuss, so she just agreed. So the police wanted a watertight case, and wanting to leave his wife for another woman wasn't going to be enough of a motive. So they dug further around and found that he had 2 failed marriages behind him and over £22,000 worth of debt.
Were there any other attempted murders?
Not that we know of at this point. I think he just robbed his otherwise blind and then left them. They also found on his phone texts to his Austrian girlfriend saying that he wanted to start a new life with her, and he promised her luxury holidays and that he would move abroad. But looking at his finances, this simply wasn't going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're in the army, apparently, I don't know this, but apparently it's true. There's a thing called PAX insurance, which is open to all military personnel. And if you get deployed abroad or you get posted to a war zone, you can up it so that if you die in combat, your family gets more. And then when you come back and it's peacetime, you can make the payments every month lower if you want some extra cash per month. So even though Emil had 6 children in total, he had a really low insurance policy per month. And it was found that before the 2 attempts on Victoria's life, this is on the bingo, I believe, Emil made a completely out of character change to his insurance policy, especially for a man so strapped for cash. So he put the monthly payments right up, and the life insurance policy was increased so that Victoria or him died, the other party would receive £120,000.
Oh, so it covers both of you.
Yeah. Well, they're both in the army. But I think it's basically the person who's left with the children, support your children and pay for the funeral and make up for the lost income and blah, blah, blah. So they also found on his phone that he would constantly text 3 people at once. So he'd text Victoria asking how the kids were. Then he'd text a sex worker asking for bareback fun and if he could film their encounter.
Gross.
Bareback. I mean, seriously. And then a third. Who wants to have sex with a sex worker without a condom?
This guy? This
guy. I mean, like, you're clearly, like, what if you gave something to your wife? That's your cover blown. He'd probably make some shit up for that as well, though, wouldn't he? Like,
yeah.
I fell over into a puddle of chlamydia or some bullshit.
Or you'd blame her.
Yeah, he'd say she was cheating. Yeah, another one. Oh, God. I don't know if I should tell you this. I've got a story. If I keep it anonymous. I'll keep it really anonymous.
Okay.
Basically, like, friend of a friend of a friend. This person went on holiday and they had sex with a sex worker. Then they came back and found out that they had a sexually transmitted infection. So they got the antibiotics for it. And then they went back to the doctors and said, I've lost my antibiotics. I don't know where they are. Can I have some more? And they said, yeah, fine. Then he was making his wife a cup of tea in the morning and sprinkling them in her tea. So if she had it, it would get rid of it and he would get away with it. I was like, hello, you still there?
Yeah, I don't know what to say to that.
Isn't that one of the worst things?
You didn't start that by saying, like, this person was married.
It's because I was trying so hard not to incriminate anyone. I was like, I'm just going to keep this to a person, all right? But
That's
a man,
nuts.
obviously, went to Amsterdam, got the clap, came back. And how betrayed and insulted and upset would you be? You'd be like, you sneaky weasel piece of shit. Like, not only did you do that to me, you also tried to medicate me. Like, that's almost a police matter.
You could go to jail for that.
I would hope so. That seems like something you could not legally do. But anyway, yeah, I'm always horrified when I remember that story.
I'm speechless after that.
Yeah, I know. It's even worse than this, isn't it? But I know the woman as well, and she's the nicest woman in the entire world. She left him, though, and now she has a really nice partner. So good for her. And I hope that man's knob is rotting off somewhere in a gutter. So they also discovered that he was texting a third woman that he would see casually on the side, and he met her at a swingers party. There is so much pussy in this story. He has got hoes in every area code.
There's probably a 6 degree of separation.
It must be.
Considering this is, like, near your area where
I come from Hampshire, mate. It ain't that big.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
England is not that big. Like,
no.
he probably...
It's not. So, poor Victoria as well. They found out that she'd loaned him more than £18,000 with the understanding that he would pay her back monthly, which he sometimes did and he sometimes didn't. So they found out all that shit I just told you, which was a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Despite all this evidence, the police were still worried about their star witness, Victoria, who still couldn't truly accept what had happened. Emil grew ever more distant and Victoria clung to him even tighter.
No.
She sent texts and emails to her husband when he was away from home saying that she loved him and she missed him. She voiced her fears that he had fallen out of love with her or that he was seeing someone else, and she said, I feel like a failure as a wife. And that's what she said to him in one of her text messages. So
You're not.
No, I mean, you're a failure as a detective. You're You're a failure as someone with eyes, but
Yeah.
but you seem like a fucking good wife. So it took 2.5 years to get everything they needed, and the case finally went to trial. It began on the 11th of October 2017 at Winchester Crown Court. Winchester's where I went to university. So Emil denied all the charges. He pled not guilty. And it was said by the papers that he would confidently swagger into court each morning.
This guy's delusional.
Oh, he's such a cunt. Paul Franklin hoped the final nail in the coffin would be Victoria in the witness box. But under examination, she accused the police of lying to her and said she didn't truly believe their theory. She said she wanted to change her story and the police wouldn't let her. So Paul Franklin, the lead investigator, said he thought she said this because she hated the time delay and she hated how long this took to come to court, and Emil had been in contact with her and got inside her head, basically. So he said she could have sat through the whole trial and heard all the evidence and she still thought the police were just against them.
I feel bad for their kids.
Well, thank God they're only really young. I feel
Yeah.
bad for his other kids who are probably a bit older and
Oh,
obviously
man, yeah.
never see him because he's constantly got his dick in someone. Like, so, I mean, how does this man find time to work?
How does he keep track of everyone in his life?
Oh my God, have you ever sent a text to somebody that you meant to send someone else?
Yes.
I have, and it's horrible.
Yes.
I'd be doing that all over the shop. So, due to Victoria's testimony, the trial ended in a hung jury, and Emil walked free.
What?
So, yeah, he was happy and smiling and jovial as he left the court. And even though this was a crushing defeat, Paul, the lead investigator, realised that a hung jury was not an acquittal and there would be a retrial. So,
Good.
the police sharpened their nails on this one.
Yeah.
And then they're like, fuck you, mate. So on the 11th of April 2018, almost exactly 3 years to the day that Victoria nearly plunged to her death, the second trial began. In the first trial, the police decided to leave out a lot of the details regarding sex workers and swingers clubs because they didn't want to humiliate Victoria any more than they already had. But now they didn't hold back. And they wanted to show Emil for the deception artist that he really was. They also explained they had needed to keep certain details back from Victoria to protect her rather than lie to her. And they also brought in an expert witness to talk about coercion and manipulation in relationships to explain why Victoria may still be being manipulated by Emil. So Emil told his girlfriend in a text message that he could do random and spontaneous things from April. He told the court he was referring to the deadline he had set himself for leaving for Victoria, and it was a mere coincidence that the parachute accident was also in April.
Sure.
Just got to kill my wife, and I'll be
Yep.
right with you.
Just gotta check that box.
I've just got to snip some parachute cords. So, Mr. Bowes, which I think is the prosecutor, described the callousness he showed. He said he texted his mistress while at the side of his seriously injured wife, saying, "I can't imagine anything like this happening to you. All I can think about is you." Emil's defence was simple. He maintained to the end that he hadn't tried to kill his wife. If the parachute had been sabotaged, it wasn't by him. If the gas tap was deliberately opened, he wasn't the one that did it. This time, he was found guilty.
You, sir, may fuck off.
Yeah. That's from Small Town Murder, which you definitely have to listen to. I love it. And he truly can fuck off.
Yeah.
So when the verdict was read out, his face was completely blank. So I've done a little where are they now, just to finish this off.
Okay.
So,
also, I wanted to say, there have been points where I'm just speechless during this story.
You're that little white monkey again.
Yeah.
What the fuck? I know. It's outrageous.
Yeah.
It scares the shit out of me. You do not know who you're sleeping next to.
Right.
I've told you as well, again, I have to keep anonymous, but I've heard stories of people putting fucking sex antibiotics in their partner's tea. I've heard of people visiting sex workers and their wife finding out they spent all their savings on it. These are people I know.
Yeah.
That this has happened to. It's petrifying.
It is.
It is petrifying. Keep an eye on your bank. That is my advice.
At the lowest amount, look at your bank.
Yeah, if that's all you can be fucked to do, just keep a close eye on that bank balance. Yeah. So, because it is a digital world and they have to take cash out to pay a hooker. Okay, yeah. So Not that I'm blaming sex workers, because they have a job to do, but men have a job to do of not cheating on their wives.
Yes.
So Victoria, now 44, she's an army physiotherapist and she's raising her 2 children by herself. So she told Good Morning Britain, which is a really shit program. She had really boring, and yeah, sometimes has Piers Morgan on it, who is obviously just subhuman scum. She had gone through every emotion under the sun and was still grieving for their relationship. She added, "I'm still pretty stunned. It's such a massive thing to accept that he might have wanted to kill me and harm the children. I love the husband I had, and I'm grieving for that marriage."
Might have.
Yeah. She's still not convinced.
Is she like all better? Like she can walk and...
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think she completely recovered, because now she's an army physiotherapist.
Right.
So yeah, she's fine,
well,
I think.
That's good for that point, at least.
Yeah. So her husband Emil is fortunately still behind bars, 2 years into his 18-year sentence. I kind of think he should have got longer, but
Yeah.
he didn't actually kill her. So
But he sounds like he would be a danger.
he sounds like he'd be a danger to anybody that got in his way.
Especially a woman.
Anyone he can put a life insurance on and then kill. That's who is his victim.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is that crazy story. Also, as a really funny side note, I typed his name into Google, and on YouTube there are shitloads of videos of him playing guitar to the screen, and they're like Ed Sheeran songs that he's doing covers of.
What?
Yep, he's got his own little YouTube channel, and it's from like 3 or 4 years ago when this happened. So he was just happy doing his little covers on YouTube, and they're so shit as well. The songs are so shit. I will put a screenshot of him, and they're always like in a bedroom with a laptop.
Yeah.
Like he's like a 40-year-old man.
What are you doing? Like, where's all your 6 children? Go spend time with them.
What a turd. I bet he sent those to his like prospects, being like, I covered this song for you. It's Ed Sheeran.
Gross.
Honestly, it makes me want to rip my skin off. It's amazing. Yeah, so that's my story. Sorry, it was quite long.
It's fine. That went through so many twists and turns.
Yeah, it did, didn't it? Again, don't go parachuting, because you could die anyway, even if someone doesn't fuck up your parachute.
It's funny because my friend who I just saw yesterday went paragliding this past weekend.
Stop it. Stop them.
No.
Yeah, I nearly died when we went on a hike.
Yeah.
And that was like walking.
Just walking.
That was walking up it was an effing vertical hill, if I'm being honest, that I'm not designed for. I have a thin layer of flab over my body that serves me well, like in the winter. And it's my sworn enemy in summer. So yeah.
I want to tell you, I'll wait till the end of recording because I'm not going to keep this in, but I want to tell you what she saw when she went paragliding.
Oh my God, that is such a teaser. Right now, okay, let's just pretend that we have an advert, like that would cut off, and then we'd have an advert for a mattress or Simply Safe or some sort of hair dye, wouldn't we? And then we go, cut back.
Reed.
What the fuck is Matt? Oh yeah, that's hair dye, isn't it? Right, okay. Use code Transatlantic Crime. Right, back. Here we go. Here's your story, Rach.
But I don't know if she'll want me to air it. So
I just told you about people who had sex medicine put in their tea. Like, come on, this is a safe space.
She just told me about it, so
she listen.
I don't know. She might start. Like, I've been ramming podcasts down her throat for the past year, and she's like, I don't listen to podcasts.
Stop ramming random podcasts from ours.
I do. So she doesn't, but I feel like I've been saying it so much that she's starting to consider listening to them. So I feel
you're like a cult leader.
Yeah.
Come along to the Hare Krishna meeting. We're really cool. We just play ping pong and eat biscuits.
Just read this pamphlet. It's
not even a big deal.
Okay, I'm going to tell you the story, but I will probably cut it out. So she's paragliding.
Don't cut it out. Anyway, go on.
I'll check with her after we record.
Fine.
So she's paragliding, and she has, like, she's not doing it on her own. She has her friend who's been doing it. Like, he trains the army,
Okay.
paragliding, whatever. So
Yeah.
they're paragliding. It's really beautiful, lovely, by the ocean. I'm not going to say where it is. It's by the ocean, you know, beautiful scenery, beach in this specific area. It's like a beach where it's clothing optional.
A
So,
nudist beach is what you mean.
well, that's what she kept saying. I don't know if it's like exclusively a nudist beach, but it's like
Okay.
clothing optional.
Right.
So they're paragliding past this beach, and then a little bit in from the beach. You know how there's like like sandy hills,
Dunes.
dunes,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm so scared.
There's just men
Yeah.
basically just getting together. She said there was about, I was like, how many were there? She was like, there were men like lining up.
Gay gangbang. That's what you're trying to tell
Yeah.
me.
It wasn't a gangbang. It was like one guy, two guys doing it, and then another, like some people just like milling around and like lining
Waiting for
up.
their turn.
And then one guy just jacking off, just like 20 feet away from the beach.
Mate, I've got so many stories like this.
But imagine, and then she's like, she's saying like they're paragliding. It's like a beautiful, you know, scenery. And then she looks down. She says to her friend, she's like, "Is that like they passed it?" And he was like, "Yep." And she was like,
He's like, this is why I come.
yeah.
I come to see this every week.
Yeah, and she's like, "Can we make sure?" So he like spun
What? Yes!
the paraglide around, and she was like, "Yep, that's what it is."
Definitely sucking dick. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she was
Well,
like,
good for them.
I was like, "This is." She was like, "This has been my." If you want to describe what 2020 has been like,
Oh my god, yeah, it's
you have these really like beautiful serene moments by yourself
and then
looking at
just this
the scenery,
a
and then
pit
you
of
look
lust.
down.
A pit of lust and spunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is 2020 really, I suppose. Oh god, I've got so many stories like that. I'll save them for another day. This is a public service. If
I
somebody
know.
wants to get involved in that kind of thing, then get in contact. We'll let you know where it was. 2020 could use a boost, you know? Give the people what they want.
Sex sells. Sex sells.
Sex. If somebody needs a refreshing hand job in the sand dunes, then who are you to take it away from them? Right, go on.
Okay. Time for my story. Also, mine's kind of short, so it kind of fits.
Good.
Yours was a little bit long. Mine's going to be
It
a little bit
was.
short today.
Sorry.
That's fine. Okay. The murder of Duane Hurley.
Never heard of it.
Daniel Korvabasic, I think that's how you say it. Kovar Basic or Basic.
Let's call him Cove. The Covo. Danny.
Daniel was 12 years old and standing outside of his elementary school when Duane Hurley approached him in 2006. Duane was walking his dog, and Daniel showed interest in it. A few days later, Duane returned with the dog, this time asking Daniel to watch it for him while he went to run an errand, to which Daniel excitedly agreed.
Okay, this is how all of us die.
Mm-hmm. When Duane returned, he paid $30 to Daniel for watching his dog. So obviously, Daniel was stoked.
Yeah.
12 years old.
Don't use dogs for evil.
No.
Bad.
Yeah. This began a slow grooming process between Duane and Daniel. Duane would often invite Daniel over to his house to do odd jobs. Wash his car, walk his dog, cut the grass, etc., in exchange for money. Daniel's parents were also groomed, in a way. They were initially suspicious and checked on Duane's past by searching him on the internet, but they found nothing that made them worried. I think when he watched his dog, then they took down the information on the dog tag and they like Googled it and stuff like that. They couldn't find anything. So Duane also told them that he was a social worker, which gave them further reason to trust him. For a year, Daniel's parents accompanied him when he would do odd jobs for Duane.
This is a long con.
Oh, yeah, it is. Just wait. They began to trust Duane, even calling him a close family friend. Duane used their family's financial hardships as a way to get closer to them. He would buy things not only for Daniel, but for the family. So later on, Daniel's family went on to Oprah.
Really?
Daniel's mom, Donna, said on Oprah, "He'd buy me stuff. I'd say that I'm out of laundry detergent, and I'd have to wait till payday to get the detergent. He would go out and buy detergent and bring it to me. I mean, he was a great guy. Who wouldn't like someone like this?"
He sounds like Michael Jackson. That is what Michael Jackson did.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that.
It's true, though.
It is.
Yeah, they pick the vulnerable.
Yep. Meanwhile, Duane was offering Daniel money to do more than just wash his car. Apparently, it started by he accidentally, in air quotes, walked in on Daniel when he was going to the bathroom, or Duane would leave the bathroom door open when he went to the bathroom. And then things escalated from there to where Duane would touch Daniel in exchange for money or things.
Fucking hell.
Daniel said that Duane had a phrase for the favors: bigger toys, bigger things. So like if Daniel said he wanted something or he needed a certain amount of money, then
he'd make him do worse sexual stuff.
Yeah, bigger things.
Yeah.
At one point, Duane let Daniel drive one of his sports cars. In exchange, Daniel would have to expose himself. So that was...
Do we actually know what he did for a job? Was he a social worker?
I don't think so.
No.
But it sounds like he made pretty good money because he had nice cars and he was able to just give $30 to a random 12-year-old.
$30 to look after a dog for 10 minutes is mental. Like, that would raise red flags. Even as a parent, even as a poor parent, that would raise red flags for me. I'd be like, they should offer you nothing to do that.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be doing it.
And also, who is this random man who's just come off the street, walking by an elementary school, talking to kids?
I can't remember who said it. I think it might have been on My Favorite Murder. But Karen said, like, grown adults don't need kids' help.
Yes.
Ever. That's a good rule to follow.
Yeah.
An adult goes, I need your help. No, you don't. You're a fucking adult and I'm a child. You don't need my help at all.
Right.
And
I don't know, like when I was a kid, I really wanted to earn money when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I would do like odd jobs for a neighbor or like one of my neighbors is an artist, like growing up. And she would make art out of clothes. So she would need like tons and tons of clothes cut up.
Yeah.
And so I did that for her and she'd pay me like $10 or whatever.
Yeah, but
Yeah, exactly.
Women.
Right.
I'm not saying that there aren't women pedophiles, but they're a lot rarer.
Yeah.
Single middle-aged men.
Yeah, and he was single. In one article that I read too, over the years, Daniel wasn't the only young boy or young man hanging around Duane's house.
It just makes me want to get in there with a broom and just broom him away and be like, get out of here.
Yeah. Go play with someone your own age.
Get.
Go
That's what it
work
makes
at Taco Bell if you want a job.
Just fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, there are several accounts of what happened on January 22nd, 2010. At 7:30 a.m., Daniel's father, Terry, told detectives he dropped off Daniel at Hurley's house so that Hurley could take him to school. One account states that 2 weeks earlier, Daniel lay asleep on the couch and Duane tried to sexually assault him, leading Daniel to quietly rage until the morning of January 22nd. Another account was that Duane offered $80 to Daniel in exchange for sex. And then another account is that Daniel said he didn't want to go to school that day and that Duane threatened him. What did happen was that Daniel, in an admitted act of self-defense and rage, smashed Duane in the head 3 times with a pickle jar and proceeded to stab him 55 times.
Cool. That's angry.
So a pickle jar
They're pretty big, right?
Yeah, you guys call them gherkins.
Yes, we do. And you get them at the fish and chip shop, and the jars are massive.
Yeah, they're like the size of your head.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if not bigger. I mean, I don't know how big your head is, but
right. So
when I say you, I
Daniel's
mean our listeners. Not I know how big
right.
your head is.
Everyone, the
Yeah,
collective you.
the collective you and your heads.
So 3 times with the pickle jar, and then he stabbed him 55 times. Daniel's father later told police that he received a phone call from Daniel at 8 a.m. saying that Duane was trying to kill him. Are you recording?
No, I just took a picture. You just
Oh,
look cute.
okay.
Plus, I'm scratching around for content for the social media, so
Yeah, I should send you
yeah,
more pictures for that.
yeah. Always
Um,
more citizen pictures as well. Like like somebody has set fire to a fucking something in your neighborhood.
I've been taking screenshots. Yeah, okay.
Flop
Anyways,
them
back to the
over.
story.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So, Daniel's father, Terry, later told police that he received a phone call from Daniel at 8 a.m. So he dropped him off at 7:30, got a call from him at 8 a.m. saying that Duane was trying to kill him. His dad told him to run, and then the phone disconnected. So it's a little sketchy about what actually happened.
Okay. So sorry, I'm just a little bit confused. So obviously Daniel is the child,
Yes.
and Duane is the adult, and
Yes.
Duane has been attacked, or Daniel has been attacked.
Daniel attacked Duane,
All right. Good. Okay.
but
Yeah.
he called his dad saying that Duane
Oh,
was trying to kill him,
I
and then the
see.
phone disconnected.
Okay.
So you don't know whether that was actually happening. Like, did Duane actually, was he coming for him and then
Mm,
disconnected the phone? So the phone is disconnected. His dad rushes back to the house. He arrived at Duane's house 45 minutes later to his son waiting outside, covered in blood, and Duane in his house lying on the floor. Terry took Daniel to the hospital and called 911 for Duane. When police arrived, they found Duane face down on the floor, dead, a bloody knife next to the body. There was blood splatter on the hallway walls, living room walls, and the living room ceiling and hallway doors. There's just blood everywhere.
yeah.
There was a large laceration on the top of his head and deep cuts on Duane's forehead, enough to see his skull, which appeared to be caused by a large pickle jar that was open on its side lying on Hurley's bedroom floor. Investigators said that the blows from the pickle jar were enough to kill Duane, even without the stabbing.
Wow. I mean, they are fucking big.
Yeah. And heavy too, especially if there's pickles
You would be
inside.
like lugging it around with two hands wrapped round it like a baby,
Right.
like a big fat
Right.
baby.
Yeah.
Delicious baby. Delicious pickles.
I love
Yeah, me too.
pickles. So Daniel was charged with 2 counts of felonious assault and 2 counts of murder. He did not initially tell investigators that he was being abused by Duane. His dad said Daniel never told anyone about the abuse because he was too ashamed and too embarrassed. It is a symptom that victims of child molestation share.
Yeah.
He said, "My son was ready to take whatever they wanted to give him, which was the rest of his life in prison, rather than tell them what happened to
That's
him."
horrible.
Yeah. With a murder charge and being tried as an adult, Daniel could have been charged with 10 to 15 years in prison. I feel like that's short, but I guess for
So did he tell them what
a
happened?
16-year-old, he eventually did. Yeah.
Oh,
And they also asked him. They asked him almost immediately because they wanted to get a motive.
yeah.
Initially, he denied it, and he said that their relationship wasn't like that and that Duane didn't do anything.
Mm,
And obviously, it's because he was super embarrassed by it.
yeah.
He was a 16-year-old kid, too.
16-year-olds aren't that good at lying. You could easy weasel out of him.
16 years old.
Yeah, 16 years old, like it's not going to take long for them to crack under pressure. Plus, like when you're
Right.
16, you think that you're telling the most convincing lie in the world, and like
Yeah.
adults take one look at you and go, "Pfft, yeah, let's hear the truth. Go on, pull the other one, son. It's got bells on. Come on, we got to get
Yeah.
to the pub by 6.
You have blood on your
Yeah,
hands. Let's talk about
Yeah.
it. And also, it started when he was 12, went on for 4 years. So he must have been pretty well
Yeah.
groomed for him to be able to,
He's lived a lie for 4 years.
hide it. Yeah, exactly. And a lot happens in those.
Really
That's like,
formative years.
yeah,
You
exactly.
change so much.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so he could have been charged with 10 to 15 years in prison. However, in August of 2010, Daniel was sentenced with 5 years probation and remain in jail until proper treatment was found. He was supposed to go to rehab.
That's amazing.
Yeah. While in jail, Daniel was allowed out on several occasions for his grandmother's funeral and to remain on house arrest in his parents' home. There was also an account of him threatening a prison guard
Yeah.
to threatening to stab him.
Oh,
They said he was just let off with a warning. So I think that they could just tell that he was a troubled kid.
traumatized as fuck. Especially
Yeah.
because the guy that abused him was an older man in a position of power. So that's going to be his people
Right.
that he's like, fuck off to. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's his
This
trigger
this
for
is
sure.
unbelievably understanding of the American justice system.
Well, he was white
Yeah.
too, so we can take that into
And what
account.
state is this?
I don't know.
We'll find out.
Oh, I think it was Ohio.
Ohio.
So in the years following, Daniel and his family went on to Oprah to tell their story of being groomed and to warn families of the tactics that predators use to groom children and their
They
parents.
should.
And that is the story of the murder of Duane Henry, killed by a pickle jar.
So pickle jar or parachute? How would you rather die, Rach?
That's a tough one. Probably pickle jar.
I want pickle jar and I want it directly to the back of the head as hard as possible so that I don't know it's coming
Yeah.
and it just knocks me out
Yeah.
and then I just bleed to death.
Yeah.
Yeah, because as we
Yeah.
discussed.
Because parachute is just you've got time to think about
Yeah.
it.
So my brother, this is fucking ridiculous. This is the same brother that threw the brick into the TV, right?
Of course
Yeah,
it is.
which other? Like, I do have another brother, but he doesn't do stupid shit like that. So, yeah, my brother Tom, he and his girlfriend were meant to do a charity parachute jump. So, he was in the queue to do the jump. And this was so basically he was a tattoo artist and he was earning quite a lot of money. And he got to the front of the queue on the day. The bloke was like, okay, so where's your charity funds? He was like, what do you mean? And he was like, you were meant to raise money for charity to do this jump. He was like, how much?
What? And he had to
bring
it there with him.
Yeah,
then?
and give it to him, and then they're like, okay, so now we'll get all kit on and stuff. Because you can't just do it on a promise. They need the money. It's expensive.
That's true.
Yeah, so they're like, yeah, well, where's everyone's sponsor money kind of thing? And my brother was like, I kind of didn't realize that this was a sponsor thing. And he was like, how much is it? And he was like, well, it's £200, so you're supposed to raise over £200. My brother was just went in his back pocket and got out 200 quid and was like, here you go, can I still do it? And they're like, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And he said he was really hungover and just not up for it at all either.
How did he get roped into it in the first place?
Because his girlfriend was like, let's do it. And he was like, sounds like a great idea. And then I think he just did that thing where you commit to something and then you later on go, fuck, why did I say yes to that?
If I were jumping out of a plane, I would want to know every single detail about
Tom
it.
has a real slapdash attitude to life, Rach. Which I can't believe you haven't learned yet. But yeah, anyway, so then what we were discussing was the fact he said he did the skydive and he was like, all I could think while I was doing it was when people throw themselves off a building to kill themselves or whatever, he's like, you are fully fucking conscious the entire way down. You can see the floor coming towards you. Your brain is working. It's jumping off a building isn't okay, it's a quick death, but every second that you're jumping and you see the floor coming towards you. And he's like, all I could think while I was doing the parachute jump was, this is what it would be like to jump off a building to your death. He was like, it was horrible.
I know for some people, they've proved that sometimes when that happens, they have a heart attack from fear before dropping to the ground, before hitting the ground.
Yeah, because it's just so utterly terrifying. Yeah.
This is why I would never do this for fun.
That's not my idea of fun. Seeing the ground hurtling towards my face. No. I would have a heart attack. Oh God, honestly.
Exactly.
Like there was a big slide at Centre Parks, which is just like a family fucking holiday park thing that all my family go to. Yeah. And my brothers were like, go on the big slide, And I was like, no, I'm really not in the mood. And it was.
Is it a water slide or just a slide?
It's a water slide, but it's like really big, really scary. And I didn't want to go on it. And like, basically it was around my 30th birthday and I had a bit of a nervous breakdown at turning 30. So I was especially snappy that weekend. So I'm just like having a nervous breakdown at being 30. And then they were going, come on the slide. And I was like, seriously, I'm not going on that fucking slide. And they were like, all right. I got like really aggressive.
Cut it out.
Just give it a rest. Yeah, not for me. Okay, no. Well, that was fucking mad. These were good stories.
What a crazy recording.
Yeah.
Inside and out.
Beginning to end. I had a mental breakdown. Will's having a mental breakdown. Right, I'm off to Edinburgh.
Yeah, have a great time.
Yes, and I might go on like a ghost tour. And I will also go on a tour around like one of those old surgeon halls where everyone like sits around and watches a surgery in like the 1900s and stuff. So
that's amazing.
Yes, there's some creepy shit in Edinburgh that I will find out and come back and report on.
You'll report on it next week in our next episode.
Yes, and I hope you have a good week, mate. I'll speak to you soon.
See you soon. Bye. Thanks for listening to Transatlantic Crime this week. If you liked what you heard, please rate, review, and subscribe.
And if you'd like to follow us on social media, you can find us on Twitter at TransatCrimePod, Instagram at Transatlantic Crime, and on Facebook with Transatlantic Crime Podcast.
Thanks, bye.